The Japanese square watermelon is a perfectly normal watermelon forced into an unnatural shape. It begins as a young melon placed inside a rigid, transparent cube. As it grows, it has no choice but to expand against the container's walls. Every angle, every edge, every flat surface of the final fruit is not a reflection of the melon's nature, but of the box that confined it. The fruit becomes whatever the container demands. It does not choose this form. It conforms to the mold. This is exactly what we are watching happen to Black youth. Their square box isn't plastic, it's digital, economic, cultural, and social. The algorithm functions as the mold. It creates a closed environment where certain behaviors are rewarded with visibility, virality, and approval, while others are ignored. A child raised inside TikTok trends, YouTube reaction channels, drill anthems, and monetized conflict isn't just online too much. They're growing inside a box lined with violence, distortion, and cheap dopamine hits. Their world is a maze of clipped murders looped for laughs, algorithms pushing the loudest stereotypes to the top, and influencers who treat death like a storyline and real people like disposable characters. Every scroll is a lesson. Every share is a reinforcement. Every notification is another nudge deeper into a mold that someone else built. They don't see the box, but they feel its pressure. They feel it when the algorithm rewards the most reckless version of themselves. They feel it when outrage gets more engagement than honesty. They feel it when negative stereotypes get recycled and fed back to them like scripture. They feel it when dehumanization becomes entertainment, when their pain becomes content, when their faces become caricatures of violence and dysfunction. By the time they realize what's happening, the walls are already shaping them, not into who they are, but into who the platform profits from. This isn't influence, Watts said. This is slow motion molding. This is constrained growth with a digital twist. Kids pressed against the hard corners of algorithms, made square by systems that only reward the spectacle. Many grow up in a society that sees them as a threat before it sees them as a child, that stereotypes them before it ever understands them, that profits from their pain while pretending to fear it. The streets reinforce it. Many are growing up in a cycle of violence, and they are forgotten and blamed for the Black community's pathologies. The decline in reading scores, the imitation of drill aesthetics, the normalization of disrespect, the spikes in antisocial behavior, and the obsession with online validation are not organic developments. They are signs of constrained growth. In the same way the watermelon flattens into a square because the cube gives it no room to grow freely, these children develop along the lines of the environments that hold them. The algorithm becomes the box. The neighborhood becomes another wall. Failed schools, absent institutions, external monetizers, and cultural exploitation seal the container shut. When someone says Black mothers need to change, Black fathers need to change, the Black mind needs to change, they are, without realizing it, talking about the shape of the watermelon and ignoring the shape of the box. You cannot blame the fruit for taking the only form the container allowed. You cannot demand that children grow round and whole while keeping them pressed inside an environment that warps them on every side. Once you understand the Japanese square watermelon, the metaphor becomes unavoidable. A deformed container always produces a deformed fruit. What we are calling behavior is simply the imprint of the mold. What we call the youth today is really the shape created by the systems around them. If we want different outcomes, the solution is not to lecture the fruit, it is to redesign the container. Round children do not grow in square boxes. If a child is shaped by a violent, distorted environment long before they ever learn who they are, how do we hold them fully responsible for the shape they took without admitting that society built the mold that shaped them, and in doing so, created the very stereotypes it now punishes them for fulfilling? Remember, stereotypes tell you more about the person who holds them rather than the person they are stereotyping.